Hi, welcome to the video. Before you do that quiz number one, go ahead and make sure you have blank paper, something to write with, a calculator, and it's going to be necessary for you to turn in these notes along with your that quiz score obviously gets posted, so I see that. But these notes from the video also are important so that when you turn everything in and have everything done on that quiz, you get to take your retake. All right, so here we go. You're going to see things like this on the retake, just like you saw them on the test. We're given two lines, and we want to find the equation of the line that goes through them. We know that we're either going to use the equation y equals mx plus b, or we're going to use y minus, a lot of people say y minus y1. I like to use a box, so we're going to put the y value there, equals m times x minus the box. Sometimes when we're lucky, we'll get to use this equation. If they give us the slope and the y-intercept, man, that's a great equation. But they didn't give that to us, did they? They gave us 2 points. So here we're going to need to find the slope first. So to find the slope, we're going to take these 2 points and we're going to throw them into a table. So we're going to find the slope by throwing the 2 points into the table. So when we look at this point right here, we know 1 comma 5 is the same thing as putting a 1 here for the x value and a 5 for the y. Same thing when I look at the point 2, 7. I know that's the same thing as putting a 2 here and a 7 here. And now I know to find the slope, all I need to do is do the hoops, right? I need to find the difference between 5 and 7. The easiest way to do that is to say 7 minus 5 is 2, and then of course if we do the hoops on one side of the table, we have to do the hoops on the other side. Another way, instead of working up down to up, you could have done up down. So we would have got 5 minus 7 is negative 2, and 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Either way, we're going to end up with the same slope. So decide which direction you're going to go and stick with it on both sides. So my slope, of course, is going to be, my slope is rise over run. And we think of rise as the change in y. And we think of run as the change in x. And that makes sense. Rise and the change in y's, that it even sounds good. It sounds like it goes. So for my slope, my change in y's are the 2, and my change in the x value is 1. And we know 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2. All right, now you'll notice because I'm teaching it, I'm writing down a lot of extra stuff that you don't necessarily need to do. This is just a review. But I now know this is awesome. This is going to go right here where m is. And all I have left to do is pick a point. So once I find the slope, my second thing I'm going to do is, let's get a great color like magenta or something. All right, so my next thing is pick a point. Now I can pick either one, 5 or 2, 7. It doesn't matter. I'll get the same answer. I'm going to pick 1, 5. So what that means is, see how this is my x value? This goes into that box. So this is my y value. That goes into this box. So now I just need to plug things in and see what I can do. So what color haven't we used? Well, I could do yellow. Let's see. The colors are important. How about like a really bright green? That sounds good. So I'm going to start and say y minus, and in the box I'll put the 5, and then my slope is 2, and then x minus, and in the box I put the 1. Now this answer would be in point slope form, which is a fine form, but the test and the retake asks you to put everything in a slope intercept form. So we're almost there, right? All we need to do, so slope intercept form, right, looks like this. So all we need to do is go ahead and distribute the 2, and then bring that 5 over. Add 5 to both sides, and when we're done, we get y equals 2x plus 3. Yay! Once again, if I weren't teaching this, we would have been done this probably about 2 minutes ago. But that's okay. So pause it, slow it down if you need to, and let's move on. So a lot of times on the test and the retake, we're going to be given a table, and we're going to be asked to find the equation of the line. As we can tell, when we're given 2 points or we're given the table, we're not going to be able to use that short one, y equals mx plus b. We're going to be using that y minus the y1, or the open box, equals m times the x minus x1, or the open box. Okay, now, of course, the open box is where we pick a point. And so let's just do the same thing. Step one is find slope. So when we find our slope with a table, we can either redraw the table, or we can just decide, you know what, I'm going to use these bottom two. Or we can decide I'm going to use the top two. It doesn't matter. So we're going to get the same slope, right? So here we go. 11 minus 5 is 6. 5 minus 3 is 2. I know that slope is rise over run, so that's 6 over 2. And that's 3. Woo-woo! And then I'm going to pick a point. Now, I'm going to, on purpose, pick a tough point just because I want you to see what happens when we do pick a point that has a negative. So my pick a point, now once again, you don't have to. I just want you to make sure that you know how to do this because sometimes we may not have that option. Sometimes both points that were given or all points were given have negatives. So let's make sure that we know how to use that. So we're going to pick 1, negative 1. So that means when I plug things in, I've got y minus, so this is my y value, right? So y minus a negative 1, and that looks really funny, right? But we're going to fix it in just a second. Equals the slope, so my slope is 2, oh, I'm sorry, my slope is 3. And then I've got x minus, and I got to put my x value. So x minus, and my x value is 1. All right, now, before we start doing anything, we have to take care of this. Minus a negative, it's a double negative. Even in English, if I say, I don't want you to not go to the store. Well, I'm telling you, I don't want you to not go to the store. I'm really telling you, I want you to the store. Like I'm speaking in double talk, right? So it's the same thing in math. Minus a negative is actually a positive. We'll go ahead and distribute. And then our last thing, we're almost to slope-intercept form. We're going to subtract 1 from both sides. We get y equals 3x minus 4. We can always stop before we turn in a test and see if our answer is right. If we plugged in, let's plug in 2, 2. If I plug in a 2 for my x, I'll get 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 4, it gives me a 2 out for a y. Let's see, let's check 3, 5. If I plug in a 3 for x, I should get out a 5 for y. If I plug in a 3 for x, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 4, woo, is 5. So we know we came to the right equation of the line. Okay, write the equation of this line. When you see a flat line, you have some options here. You can just memorize, let's get some magenta going on. You can just memorize all flat lines start with y equals some number. And what number is it? Well, y equals whatever number the y-intercept is, all right? So we could just do it that way. We could say, okay, flat lines are y equals, what's my y-intercept? Well, thank you, Miss Overby, there's no numbers here. But if this is a 0 and this is a negative 1, we know that our y-intercept is negative 1. Let's get back to the magenta. And so y equals negative 1. All right, so that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is just look at the look at each point and name them. Like, okay, this point is named 1, negative 1. This point is named what? 1, 2, 3, 4 is named 4, negative 1. This point is named negative 2, negative 1. And if we keep doing this, we're like, wait a minute. All the y values are equal to negative 1. Y is equal to negative 1 here. Y is equal to negative 1 here. Y is equal to negative 1 here. Why is that? Because the name of the line is y equals negative 1. So that's another way to do it. What else would I want? I said 3 ways. I think that's just good. Those two ways, pick away and stick with it. All right, same thing here, all right? I can choose to memorize that, I don't know, let's do orange. I can choose to memorize that when I see a vertical line, it's always x equals some, oops, something's falling down over here. Hopefully you can still hear me. X equals some number. Well, what number? X equals whatever number the x-intercept is, all right? So we could say, all right, well, we see a vertical line, so it's x equals, well, let's go to the x-axis. This is the x-axis. What's the x-intercept? Bam, right there at negative 4. And we're done. That's the name of the line. You could do it that way, or you could choose to name some of the points on the line. Like this point's named negative 4, 1. This point is named negative 4, 2. This point is named negative 4, negative 2. And we're like, oh, we see what's going on. X equals negative 4, x equals negative 4. Every single point on this line we'll have x equal to -4, and that's why that's the name of our line. So choose a way to remember it. Really stick with that way. Practice that way so it just becomes like, you know how we memorize the ABCs in kindergarten and the sounds of them, and we never looked back. We kept those memorized so we can read. You got to do the same thing here. All right, now this one, normally when we see 2 points, we throw them in a table. We're not going to throw these points in a table. We're going to get smarter than that. We're going to be observant, and we're going to notice that both points have something in common. Oh, the x is equal to 1. The x is equal to 1. When this happens, you have a choice. You can throw them into a table for sure, and you can be like, oh, this is one of those tables where x is always the same number. And you can say that means that the name of the line is x equals 1. You could graph them if you wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a point. And then 1, 7, there's a point. And you can connect the 2 dots, the 2 points with the line. So you can say x, no matter what, pick a way to understand this, stick with it, and remember it. Like, you have to remember it for the rest of your high school math career. And of course, college too, if you're going on to college. You know, until you're done, you're going to have to at least take college algebra in college. Or get it done while you're here at Parkway North. You can get college credit while you're here. Okay, another table one, normally, man, we'd have to do what we already did. You know, a couple problems ago, we'd have to find the slope. We'd have to set it up in that long form and do all that stuff. But no, we're smarter than that. We're observant people. We're noticing that the y, and I'm checking, okay, good. I mean, all of a sudden I freaked, like, am I recording this? All right, it was missing. We notice that the y's are all equal to -1. That's such a wonderful thing because you know what? Y equals -1 is the name of this line. Hopefully you can see that in your thing. All right. So, yay, we're done. I'm going to stop the video here. Go ahead and do that quiz number 1. And then you can join me again for the next video. All right, thanks for joining me.